Hey guys, and welcome to episode, I have not got a clue which one this is, but another episode of my 5-minute knowledge bombs. I do apologize for the lack of these knowledge bombs. I know I haven't done one for a couple of weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. I've been pretty busy on other projects, but I did promise you another one, so it may be 3 weeks late, but it's coming and it's gonna be here right now because you're watching it. Okay, so today, I know I've got a few episodes to do on my macro split in terms of the percentage and what's best for fat loss, what's best for muscle gain. Those are coming. A question I got asked this morning, and a question I get asked a lot, is about refeeds and cheat meals and what do they do? Are they needed? When should I have them, or when should I have them? You know, when it's beneficial to have them? What exactly do they do? Okay, so let's break this down. There's two things. There's refeeds and there's cheat meals. I kind of classify refeeds as a more structured approach to dieting in terms of creating a slight calorific surplus in a couple of days to break that kind of deficit barrier that has been going on, in a period of dieting. So let's use an example of a refeed. Someone who's doing a 12-week prep or a 12-week diet, or if you do a progressive calorie deficit, let's just say you start off on 10% from your total daily energy expenditure, which may be around 2,500 calories, you will progressively increase that calorie deficit depending on progress. So some people could get away, it all depends on measurements, weekly measurements. You're taking your weight, you're taking your body fat, you're taking your circumference measurements, your waist, your hips, chest, all that kind of stuff, just making sure that you possibly may have worked out your end goal weight. That's always a good thing. If you competed before, if you've been that lean before and you're trying to get down to a similar weight, it's always quite good to have a base weight that you're trying to aim for. Then again, if you haven't been at that lean before and this is the first time in your experience, it's quite hard because you don't exactly know what weight you're going to be at 6% body fat, 10% body fat, 12% body fat, whatever your goal is. You don't really know exactly what that weight is going to be. You can use certain kind of equations and calculations depending on that, based on your current level of body fat, how many weeks you have, say for example 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, and a guesstimate in terms of how much you will weigh at that point. Or you do it on body fat, it depends. Like body fat readings, things with body fat, different methods yield different results. Biometric impedance is pretty bullshit. I don't really use that much, especially those scales that you just stand on. They normally give me a 5% difference from morning to evening, so I don't really use them much. Caliper readings, biosignature, DEXA scan, underwater weighing. No one really gets underwater weighing anymore because it's too complicated. These kind of things are the more accurate, but again, these are expensive. They're not, well, calipers aren't. But if you're getting calipers done for your body fat, make sure it's done by a good practitioner. They know what they're doing, because taking body fats, taking those caliper measurements, those little pinches of the skin every week, if you get them wrong by a millimeter, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, you'll yield a different reading and it won't be accurate. So a little bit off the topic, let's get back to refeeds. So you are 12-week dieting, starting off on like a 10% deficit based on your total daily energy expenditure, which should yield you're burning more calories than you're taking in, so therefore you'll lose weight, you'll lose body fat. Again, have you added cardio in? How high is your volume? How frequent, what's your training frequency? How often are you training? These things do count, but you could get as complicated as you need to. I'd say to keep things easy, drop into a slight deficit based on the calculations that I gave you on the previous 5-minute knowledge bomb, which worked out, gave you a good website to go on to. I think it's the tdeecalculator.net, which gives you a good indication of how much to drop in, or sorry, how much your total daily energy expenditure is. So, how many calories you burn in a day. Drop off 10%, 50%, 20% is normally the norm, but depending on how long you've got. If you've only got 8 weeks, you want to go pretty heavy. So I'd say if you've got 8 weeks to diet, drop straight into a 20% deficit and go from there. Once you've been dieting for a while, and once you've been in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time, you will find that your metabolic equilibrium, your ability to burn body fat, to utilize calories actually decreases. These are things, I'm not going to go into the hormones leptin and ghrelin at the moment, but these two hormones, your hunger hormone and your full hormone, these actually decrease in time so your body doesn't require the amount of calories. Thermogenesis slows down a little bit as well, so you find sometimes people run at a cooler temperature. This is all down to thyroid output, you know, your T3s, your levothyroxines, all this kind of stuff that kind of stimulate metabolic response. These start to slow down after a while, after being extended, because it's that word that people use, the kind of survival mechanism. It is true, it's not as easy as that, it's not as cut and paste as that, but at the end of the day, your body is learning to survive on lower calories. What a refeed does is basically stimulate these hormones, these kind of fat burning hormones, and basically helps you to break out, gives your body what it needs, and almost resets your baseline. So if we think, you know, every 12 weeks, you're steadily going into deficit. After like 10 days of being in a deficit, your metabolic equilibrium starts to slow down, ghrelin and leptin start to slow down in their release. This is a way to kind of stimulate your metabolic, your thermogenesis. So a refeed is more set structure. So if I was going to give a client a refeed, I'd say, right, on your next, for example, like high energy expenditure day or rest day, doesn't really matter. I normally do it on a legs day. Instead of having 2,500 calories, I want you to have 3,900, 4,000 calories. I want you to up your carbohydrates from 170 grams to 400 grams. If you look at it over a period of time, you will still be in a calorie deficit. You can't just take one day in a massive calorie surplus and then think, oh God, I've broken my diet, I'm going to gain weight. If you look at it over a period of 10 days, you'd still be in a calories deficit. And you know, the biomechanical functions of that, say, refeed, aren't going to count to weight loss. Normally, if you've done it perfectly and you do a refeed, you will actually lose weight the next day. You'll always kind of feel a little bit like, especially if you're low carbohydrate dieting, you'll feel yourself, and you see a lot of kind of bodybuilders and fitness athletes talk about this, about being, what do they say, being flat. Flat is basically just a lack of glycogen in the muscles. Your muscles, although you feel lean, you feel flat, you feel a little bit deflated. What this will also do, a refeed, and a cheat meal does this as well, is basically drives the carbohydrates into the muscle cells as glycogen, swells the muscle cells. So normally they wake up in the morning, there's a perfect scenario, you wake up in the morning, similar to people what they do before stage day, and they'll feel fuller, their muscles will feel full, they'll even feel a little bit leaner because water retention, your extracellular water would normally be drawn intracellular. So all these things can kind of happen in a refeed. That's the perfect scenario. How often to have a refeed? Well, that's really based on your results, your progressions. So if you were starting off, if you've had a pretty shitty diet and you haven't been following a diet too well and you've got 12 weeks to lose a lot of body fat, I'd say you wouldn't want to have a refeed for the first 14 days and see how those calories that you've prescribed or your coach prescribed or whatever are fitting you. You know, there's no point taking a refeed after 5 days because you don't really get an idea of how those macros, those set kind of calories and macros are actually sitting with yourself. Because you don't really give enough time. You want to give it at least 14 days to see how those calories are fitting with yourself. If, for example, you get after 14 days and you haven't yielded that great results, probably means the calories are a little bit too high, possibly carbohydrates are a little bit too high, or fats, depending on which one you respond best to, or your expenditure is too low. Two things you could do here: you could increase your expenditure, so increase your cardio output, increase your training volume, or increase your training frequency, or you could drop your calories again and make a slight adjustment. So if you drop 10% initially, you'd probably drop another 10% and see how you go from there. Again, 2 weeks in, this isn't, but you would be taking your results every week. If you take your weight every day, you'd be taking on an average. So it's fine to weigh yourself every day. If you want to weigh yourself every day, every morning when you get up, butt naked, jump on the scales and do it, that's totally fine. People say you can't, but you know, as long as you take an average of the week. So you'd measure your weight every day, and you take a check-in day, or Monday, Friday morning, whatever, Monday morning, Sunday morning, whenever you do your check-ins, make sure it's the same time each week. You just take an average of the week, and that'll be your weight. So that'll be how much you determine your weight loss, your circumference loss, your body fat loss, whatever. But you always have to decrease the variables. So I always say, do it at the same time every week. My clients check in on a Tuesday. They normally measure either on a Sunday morning or a Monday morning, and they'll check in with me on the Tuesday, and then I run through check-ins Tuesdays and Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays depending, and then I make my judgment based on that. And then if I need to alter their macros, their training plans, whatever, I would always do that for the following week, unless it's an emergency, that is. For example, if someone's 4 weeks out of a competition, I'm like, right, I need you to start on these macros today. I'll pretty much do that immediately. So that is a refeed. It's a set structure. I will say to my client, okay, this is the calories I want you to have. These are the macros. If they do flexible dieting, they'll of course fit those macros into their daily food count, or I'd provide a food plan for them and say, this is what I want you to eat. Nutrient timing doesn't really come into this really in terms of refeeds. Obviously I wouldn't try that amount of calories and that amount of carbohydrates. I wouldn't like to try and see them do it in 2 meals, because you'll just feel bloated. Your body's not used to having that much volume of food. So I'd always spread it through 4 to 6 meals in the day, maybe even 7, because it's a higher increase of volume of food. So that is refeeds. It's a little bit more of a, I say it's a little bit more of a scientific approach. Cheat meals. So what are cheat meals? Cheat meals are basically like a free day, a free evening. Cheat meals are what I give, for example, clients who are on, say, a structural phase. Their calories are still relatively high. Well, of course, their calories are still high because they're in a structural phase. They're trying to add lean mass, so they've got to be in a surplus. Problem with cheat meals in structural phases, you've got to warrant the cheat. So, for example, if you're on your cheat day, the cheat wouldn't be on top of those calories. I should say, for example, knock off like 3 meals and then have a big cheat in the evening. I wouldn't really measure the calories. They, a lot of clients say, "Oh, how many calories? What are my macros for my cheat meal?" I was like, "This is a cheat meal. It's not a refeed. Go, but it's not a chance to binge. It's not a time to binge. Binging will ruin your results, whether you're in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. If you binge, you're out of the question. You'll feel shit. Mentally, it's a mind fuck, and then your results will probably show that as well. So, cheat meals. If you're dieting, for example, a lot of people. So the common way to utilize cheat meals during a comp prep, during a period of dieting, 12, 16 weeks, whatever, is to be in quite a severe calorie deficit and then just fucking go nuts on the weekend. My issue with this is that you almost spend your 6 days starving yourself, and then suddenly you have a massive cheat meal, you feel bloated, you feel shit, you don't really recover until possibly, say for example, you do the cheat on the Saturday, you don't really feel good probably until like the Monday, even the Monday evening. It's not great on mindset. It's the one thing that kind of almost develops those kind of the bad kind of relationship with food, especially post-comp, when people have had regular massive cheat meals. My advice for those kind of people is, rather than have a massive 5, 6, 7, fucking 10,000 calorie cheat meal or whatever, or cheat day, 1 day a week, and then be in a fucking 50% calorie deficit the rest of the week, why not be in a 20% calorie or 15% calorie deficit, and then have a moderate cheat meal that's almost kind of like a, maybe a 25, 30% surplus of your current calories. It makes more sense. You're not going to be starving yourself during the week. Your macros are going to be a lot better balanced throughout the week, and you're going to have, your training intensity is going to be better because your calories are going to be higher during the week. Your carbohydrates will probably be higher during the week, so therefore growth and recovery will be better. Sleep will most likely be better because you won't be starving yourself 6 days a week. So this is the kind of classic cheat meal thing, to have a ginormous cheat meal once a week, and once in 10 days, it's normally once a week, and then kind of starving yourself. So for those kind of people, I'd always say moderate your calories a little bit better through the week and have a moderate sized cheat meal on the weekend. I mean, cheat meals are great for kind of psychosomatic as well. Like it gives us a chance to eat. It's great for social events as well, social occasions. You don't have to kind of like hermit yourself through a 12-week prep. You can still go out and have a cheat meal with a family, friends or something, at least once a week, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, dog, whatever. It doesn't kind of like bring that kind of hermit style approach to prepping as a lot of people do. Cheat meals, what are the benefits of cheat meals? They do similar things, probably not exactly the same thing as what a refeed would do, but they're slightly unstructured. That's kind of the main difference between refeeds and cheat meals. Refeeds are a little bit more structured. Cheat meals are just, okay, go out. I normally say go out for a cheat meal. It's easier to kind of like portion control. Well, it depends where you go. I had to go to Red Dog Saloon. Those frickin' things are massive. But I say go out, have your favorite steak, get some nice sides, some cream spinach, some baked sweet potato, fries, have a dessert, and then hit the nail on the head. Don't go back and chow down 5 tubs of Ben & Jerry's. You know, that's not in the fucking program. If you have a cheat meal at home, choose your cheat meal. Don't suddenly get fucking starving at the night and say, right, it's my cheat meal, I'm gonna go through the fucking house, fucking biscuits, fucking rice cakes, peanut butter, no good. That's never gonna work. You've got to be intelligent. You've got to be intelligent with this kind of thing. You don't want to ruin your body, you don't want to ruin your physique, and you don't want to feel shit the next day. A good cheat meal, a good refeed would make you feel good the next day. You most likely feel a lot fuller, leaner, drier, and increased energy as well. So you should smash your workout the next day. If it's a rest day, you should have fucking more energy to go out and do a 10K run, but don't do a 10K run. But you should just have more energy the next day. If you get a cheat meal wrong or refeed, generally you feel a little bit sluggish the next day. You won't sleep very well the night before. When do you get a cheat meal or a refeed wrong? When you don't deserve it. That's pretty much it. Like, if you aren't in enough of calorie deficit, or if you haven't been in enough calorie deficit for a period of time and your body doesn't warrant a refeed or a cheat meal, there is no point to take one. In terms of progress, there is no point to take one. The only point would take one would be kind of the psychosomatic value, like a little bit of a break. That's why I say for the first 14 days of your plan, don't take a cheat meal, be strong, stick to the macros, see how they're doing, and then that will kind of warrant a cheat meal. How often are cheat meals and refeeds? That's very dependent on your results. So that'll be dependent on whether you take them or your coach recommends, your trainer, whatever. It would be down to results. If your results are proving great and you're hitting targets each week with a cheat meal per week, fucking great, do it. If you are struggling to achieve your goals and you feel like you're in a pretty heavy calorie deficit, I'd say remove the cheat meal, maybe get a little bit more of a structured refeed, and then see how you go from there. It's very much about tracking your progress, like anything, tracking your progress weekly, measuring, taking your weight, taking progress photos, assessing yourself, getting someone else to assess you, your trainer, your coach, whatever, and then making decisions, intelligent decisions based on that. Guys, thank you very much for coming onto this episode, my 5-minute knowledge bomb on cheat meals and refeeds. I will be back for the next one. I can't remember what episode it was. For now, guys, have a great day, have a great week, and I shall speak to you very soon. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Guys, it's been great. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.